there were really two standout issues for me in the speech, if I might say. One more impressive than the other. The one standout issue where I think Zuma did score was when he addressed the issue of labour unrest on South Africa's mines. And in fact, what he did there was quite interesting. It almost looked as though he departed from his prepared text, and in fact he spoke more honestly and openly and from the heart. It gave him more credibility as a communicator. And I think he did score in a sense by admitting this was a serious problem and that both sides needed to address these issues. I think that was perhaps for me the high point of the speech. He tried again to convey a similar sentiment when dealing with expectations created as a result of patchy service delivery over the course of the last 5 years. The message wasn't quite as honest or open or credible in that part of his speech, but nevertheless, I think these were the two standout sections from the speech that perhaps gave us as South Africans an indication that government is very concerned about disruptive elements within the trade unions and also about what could be disruptive elements on the ground when it comes to service delivery protests, and the question as to whether these are spontaneous or whether they have a premeditated aspect to them, as the President suggested.
And it's interesting that you bring up the issue of service delivery, because he said that service delivery protests were actually a reflection of the government's successes. How is that possible?
Well, I listened to that very carefully in what he said, and at first I was wondering what he was really getting at. But I think to give him some credit, and often we don't want to give President Zuma that much credit, but to give him some credit, indeed, I think expectations are constantly heightened amongst people. As we do move into a technologically driven society where we're all aware of what our neighbor does and has or doesn't have, all of us are much more aware. We expect more as well as our living conditions change. And I actually agree with Zuma in part. I agree that those who have been left behind are, of course, the people who will feel most alienated from the political system. Those are the ones who are going to feel as though they're not participating, they're not deriving benefits. They see their neighbors, they see their friends, they see other towns and cities and societies improving. Their lot doesn't improve. And on the basis of that, and I think if that's what Zuma was saying, I would generally agree with that. But that doesn't, of course, discount the fact that poor service delivery on the ground, very poor performance by government bureaucrats, officials, and local government councillors, endemic corruption in local authorities, and poor financial management are really also the cause of this level of frustration. And I think in his speech, Jacob Zuma obfuscated those issues in favor of the other issue that we've spoken about.